before we get into going through all the different rests, here's how I'm going to kind of do this. These are rests that I have some experience with or a lot of experience with in different ways. And I'll be honest when I get to each one, like how much I've shot off them. I'm going to talk about what kind of makes them unique, why people like them, why it might be a good choice for you. But here's what I want everybody to remember. These are all really good rests for different reasons. And it's like saying that a bat is better than a Borden, better than a Defiance. I mean, when you're dealing with top end rests, they are going to all be made very well, but they are all going to do things a little different. And the key is finding what works for you and why you want to pick a rest. And this could be size, it could be mobility, it could be adjustments. There's any number of reasons that somebody may want to choose one over the other. So I'm just going to go through these. I'm going to be as unbiased as I can with it, and we'll just kind of go from there. So we're going to start off with Seb. Seb is without a doubt probably the most well-known name, especially in F class and Benchrest for front rests. And it's for good reason. He's got a ton of rests. He's made a lot of rests over the years, and he's got a really strong commitment. And to be fair, everybody I'm going to show you has a strong commitment to the shooting sport. So I don't want that to sound like a bias, but Seb does reach out. He does get beta testers when he's doing new products. He does go to matches, um, and I'll explain with some other front rests their involvement as well. But when it comes to Seb, there's a couple different things, and I will put links down below for all of these different websites. Uh, and some are ones that you can actually order on. Some you have to kind of get on a mailing list. Some, it's sort of a back order system. So let's go down the list. Now with Seb, you'll notice that there's a Neo X, which is brand new. It's not even out yet. There's a Joypod, which is for TR shooting. It's a bipod. There is the Max, which is a big heavy unit, and I'll go through all these in a minute. He does have these F-class feet separate. And then down here, he's got the Mini X, Mini X6, and Mini X8. So let's start with the Neo X. So the Neo X is going to be the replacement for what is currently the Neo, and that is just his standard coax system. Uh, you know, in the past, it has been um, you know, adjust from the side system. You'll still see a lot of them used on like Accurate Shooter and other forums. They get bought and sold, but this is his new baby, and it is designed to be a compact traveling unit that unfolds into a full, giant coax system. I have personally shot on a prototype of this. I thought it was pretty amazing, and the fact that it folds up is a huge, huge plus. This does allow you to shoot and adjust from position. So the tools up here are going to insert into the different handles, and I have a whole video on this one um, that I've done. Actually, I've done 3 different videos on the Neo X to show how it adjusts. But the basic concept is you have this center head that pivots here. The lever right here is going to lock or unlock the pivoting. This lever locks the elevation, and this handle is going to allow you to go up and down, and you can stick this adjustment handle in it and turn it from position to raise or lower the head. One thing that's really nice about the Neo X is that when you're adjusting it, you really don't have to do this lock handle here. So this one here, it is a little bit more academic. It's not that it's not functional, but it's a little more academic than anything, meaning that you can make an adjustment here and the bridge stays in place. And I only got this bridge to move after completely putting, my 210 pounds on top of it. But the weight of a gun, even like just pressing with your arms, is not going to lower the bridge, which is really nice because there's times where you just want to make a quick adjustment. You don't want to have to unlock, move, lock it back down again. But for certain situations, you may want to just completely lock it down, and it gives you that ability. It does have a built-in carry handle, which is right here, and you can see both your coax handle and the adjustment handle are going to snap into it, and it's kind of a lightweight Delrin with metal on the ends that is going to lock down in place and allow you to carry it. It comes in a number of colors. You can see this is just the bright chrome, but it is available. I don't think it's on here in the different colors, but it's available in like 6 or 7 different color combinations. And it does accommodate up to a 6-inch forend. So you can see here, this is kind of a specialized pistol. that is using a 6-inch forend, and you can see it's accommodating it just fine. There are notches that go out on the sides all the way to 5, and then the last is going to be the 6. It is available with Delrin inserts here instead of pads. I don't know if I have a picture. Here's the sandbags. So you can have sandbags, which is what it comes with, and then for a little bit extra, you can get these Delrin inserts, which are going to be hard. I really like these Delrin inserts. I've actually modified one of my other Sebs so that there's no sandbags on the side, and it just has a little bit of like Velcro or felt padding on the side so that it isn't sand on the side. There's only sand on the bottom, which is the only requirement in F class. Um, as far as the Neo X, I think it's going to obviously replace the Neo here very soon. I know people that have Neos on order might start getting them for a couple more months, but as of September 2022, you basically can't order a regular Neo anymore. You have to order a Neo X. And again, as of September 2022, these are approximately 1600, and there's a couple accessories you can get that add a few $100 if you get all of the accessories. I think if you do the Teflon or the Delrin inserts, and if you do the F class feed, it adds a couple $100. So that's not bad for the additional features. It does come in a carry case, which I think is right here to show you. So you can fold it all up. It comes with little terry cloth bags for the feet that you can put in. And one thing that does make this really unique, and I'll do my best to show this, I show it in one of my other videos, but right here, the feet don't, well, they do unscrew, but if you want to just remove the feet for travel, you just loosen this lock ring and they literally slide out right here. So you can see here and here, and they just pop right out and they pop right in. And one nice thing about that is if you're like throwing it in the back of a truck or a car or something, you can just loosen this and then flip them over so that the points are facing up and then this handle is facing down. So then you can throw it in the back seat of a car and easily transport with it, or maybe between matches, or if you're doing a Palma and you're going from 800 to 900 to 1,000, you just want to throw it in the back of a car, or even in a like a pull cart where normally these feet would puncture the bottom of a pull cart. You can just flip the feet over real quickly, and I think that's a really smart way to do it. And the fact, obviously, that it folds up is a huge plus. So for me, this is a winner right here. Um, I think this is going to become a pretty gold standard in F class, along with the T Rex that we've seen, which has some of the same adjustments and has been out for a little bit longer. So let me go to his next one, which is I'm going to come back to the Joypod because it's a different animal, but we're going to go to the Max. And I don't think there's any plans for the Max to get updated to a Neo X system as of this video being made. This thing is a monster. I want to say it weighs close to 40 pounds, whereas the Neo X weighs just under 20 pounds, depending on the features you have on it. With this here, it is like I've seen guys use it for F class. In fact, I think the Norm, who shot the national record a few years ago, he shoots off one for F class. But I will just tell you, it is a big, heavy, wide monster. You've got to be able to have room to transport it. You need to be able to carry it to the line. It really was originally designed for Benchrest with really wide forends, because with heavy gun Benchrest, they can go up to, I think it's 60 or 70, I think it's 70 pounds on their guns. They use giant heavy stocks, almost like rail guns, and so they wanted something big and beefy, and that's what Seb did for this. So again, the Max is definitely a more limited situation, and it is going to be still in the style of the old Neo, which is these are the tightening knobs here. I don't think there's any other pictures here, but you've got your adjustment handle, you've got your elevation on the legs, and then you've got the adjustment for the elevation along the bridge, which is on the side. Being that this is an older style of his, you are going to have to get out of position to raise or lower if you're laying prone. If you're sitting at a bench, you don't really, you can reach it just fine. And it is not going to have a swiveling head on it. So, just keep in mind the Max is kind of a totally different animal. It's amazing if you have the need for it, but it is definitely a more specialized need. It's also going to run you a little bit more. So let's go back to we've got the Max, and then these are what he's actually updated these. These are his older style feet. His new ones don't have quite the same taper to them, but they're more of a straight, so they push into like bigger gravel. Like if you have 3/4 minus or something like that, where it's a little bit bigger, they're easier to get into the gravel. Sometimes these kind of pyramid styles can be a little trickier in bigger gravel, so it's just something to keep in mind. Let's go to the minis now. So the mini comes in three different things. You've got the Mini X, which is going to be the standard up to 4 inch. Then you've got the Mini X6, which goes to 6 inches, and the Mini X8 for 8 inches. The Mini's big selling point uh, is transport. It's light. It's only about well, the standard Mini X is right around 12 pounds, give or take, depending on if you have like F-class feet on it or whatever. But it folds up. It's very compact. It's easy to throw into a range bag if you need to, or into the back of a car. This has been in one form or another, the Mini has been probably I would say probably the top rest that we've seen at F-class matches, especially big matches where guys are flying and stuff like that. This is sort of the go-to rest along with some of the others. But for pure travel purposes, this has been kind of the Cadillac. Now the Mini X was updated sometime last year. I don't remember exactly when. I did get a version of it originally, and just for context, with all the Seb products, I have had a Seb Neo Radigan, which is totally different. I've had a couple of regular Neos. I've had three minis. I've had two mini X's. I have not had a Max, and then I've played with the Neo X, so I have a lot of familiarity with the Seb products. And you're probably asking why have I had so many? Well, for different purposes, I've bought them and then needed a different one, so I've sold it. And I'm not somebody who hangs on to a lot of different products. So over time, I've just bought and sold the product that fits what I need the best. With all the match traveling that I'm doing now, this is without a doubt, my go-to right now. It'll probably change when the Neo X comes out or when I get my Neo X. But for the time being, the Mini X is what I travel with because it can fit in my suitcase without a problem, and the weight really helps. So the Mini X updated with these adjustable ankles for angle because as you crank the legs up, these would start to point in towards the ground. And so you pull this lever, and then you can get your feet horizontal or perpendicular to the ground, which is what you want. So that was a huge feature. He added the colored anodization, and then he updated to like a Neo style. It's hard to see, but yeah, here you go. So he added a Neo style top, which gave a little bit more control on the rest than the original Neo bags or the original mini bags. The original mini bags were like a one-piece bag, and they were good, but I will just tell you that this is a lot better. And one thing that Seb does on all his bags that I really like is that he does this seatbelt material, and I don't know if you can see. Here you go. We'll zoom in here. See how it's kind of it looks like I call it seatbelt material. I'm not sure what he calls it exactly, but it's really, really durable. It's really slick, and it just doesn't wear. I have just beat the heck out of these with different stocks and dirt and grime, and they just don't wear out the way that your 3M bags that um, are still popular, but you don't see as many. So they use like Super Slick, 3M Super Slick. The problem is that tends to wear your stock can cut into it, and the seatbelt material that Seb's using now it just doesn't wear out like that. So I've really, really been happy with his choices in material there. It does have this fore end stop that's grooved down the middle. That is an update from he used to have a single post and you would have trouble. Sometimes it used to hit your barrel, and that was sort of frustrating. So he went to this U channel. And to be honest, a lot of these innovations come from things that people have offered as aftermarket parts in the past. So on the original Mini, you could buy an updated set of ankles and you could buy an updated piece here and you could get different bags. And those pieces are still available, and there are still people who absolutely love those. So it is great that there are different options if you do get something like a Seb Neo or a Seb Mini, and you can go to companies like Blake Machining and Dan Bramley and some of these others where they do make accessories for this, which does give it more appeal, and it does give it a broader use depending on your needs. You can see that there are different lengths of handles, and you can get extensions. So if you're shooting something that needs longer fore end and you need to reach a little bit more, you can get a longer joystick, and I want to say you can buy them all the way out to like 24 inches. I mean, it's pretty obscene how long you can get these. The newer Neo X that I was talking about actually comes with an extension that screws in, so it gives you the most versatility out of the box. But if you have an older Neo or a Mini X or something like this, you can actually specify the handle length that you would like. And you can see here, this is the anodized kind of bronzy orange that he does. I've got a blue like this. They do a green, a gold, a pink, a black, something like that. Uh, so that is the Mini X. Again, it's a great rest for travel, and you'll definitely see those out and about in the world. What I would say, if you ask somebody who has a Mini and you ask them like, why did you choose a Mini or a Neo? Uh, Usually the answer is going to be, I picked a Mini because I need it for travel. And then if you said, well, do you like the Mini or the Neo better? I bet you dollars to donuts that most F-class guys, given the choice, would rather have a Neo, which is why the Neo X is probably going to be such a great kind of in between a Neo and a Mini for travel purposes, and I think it's going to really take off. The downside to a Mini is that you're dealing with a Mariner's wheel in the middle, and you're dealing with elevation legs on the outside, and then you're dealing with elevation legs here. So there's a lot of points of elevation and angle change that take some familiarity to get used to. So once you get used to a Mini, it's fantastic. But if you are not used to a Mini and you get one, I would highly recommend that you spend time in your backyard or your front room or whatever it is, pretending or practicing setting up for a match. And that means how you unfold it, how the wheels work, how the elevation legs work, how the angles change, how the Mariner wheel works, how the lockdown mechanism works. All of these things have an impact on how you set up, and it does take a little more time if you have to make a major adjustment and minor adjustments. You have to kind of decide, well, do I want to make a minor adjustment with the Mariner wheel? Do I want to change an angle or an elevation with one of these, or do I want to change it with the feet? So there are a lot more points of articulation here than you're going to find on something like a Neo or a Neo X. It is something you have to take into account. I personally don't mind it. However, I will tell you, I fell into that group of people that was really frustrated when I got my first Mini, and I did have to spend a lot of time in my yard. I'd pretend to set up for a match. I'd pull out my mat. I'd lay down my front rest, my rear rest, my gun. I'd get everything set up. I'd try to work on getting my gun level, and then I'd tear it all down and I'd start over. And I would just do that over and over and over. And I got to a point where now I know, okay, if I need to make this kind of change, I know to go here. If I need to make this change, I go here, and I can make changes pretty quickly. It does take a lot of practice and familiarity compared to something like the Neo, where, on a Neo, and I'll just go back here for you, on something like the Neo X, if you need to make an elevation change, great. You just come here, up and down, you're good to go. If you need to, level your rifle, you just up or down one of these legs and you're good to go. So it's much quicker. And in the past, you've always kind of been penalized with size and weight. Again, that's why I think this form factor that he's come up with is going to be a little bit of a game changer for people that travel but still want, the easy adjustment that this comes with. So that covers his joystick rests that are for, like bench rest and F class and stuff like that. But let's look at the Joypod, only because it's something that he offers, and we do have guys who are going to shoot TRs. So let me just show you. It's still a coax, right? So you still have this joystick, and it has been updated. There aren't updated pictures on here yet, but it has been updated to what is a joystick X. It's going to have slightly better adjustments. I've only shot off one of these once or twice off a buddy's gun, but you basically uh, lift, and it clicks lifting, so you don't have to really do anything to get your elevation if you're trying to level a gun or get a little more elevation. And then you push this lever and it drops down, so it's a very easy adjustment. It's got these skis for it. uh, it's got a locking swivel, and then you've got your joystick, so that instead of a classic FTR setup where maybe on the rear bag you're having to squeeze or adjust for minor elevation changes, with this you can do a free recoil situation and use the joystick to make your minor hold offs or elevation changes if you need to. So I'm just throwing that in there since it's something that he does offer. So that's the Sebs as of August 2022 right now. So let's go to the next one, which is going to be the 21st century. 21st century is a totally different design. It is not a coax. It is not going to work the same as any other front rest that I'm going to show you. And the reason being is that it is truly a hybrid system. And without going to a bunch of different websites, I can't really show you a lot of pictures of this other than what they have set up here. But I'm going to try to, here we go. This will be the best. So here's what you've got. You've got your front bag and classic adjustments for side tension. Okay, so pretty simple. You've got a front piece there that is going to obviously be your fore end stop. And then down below, you can see right here, these are going to be your these are going to basically lock it down. And then this giant Mariner wheel in the middle is going to allow for elevation on a gross elevation scale. So you turn that wheel and this head is going to go up or down. And then the joystick, if you will, or this adjustment arm, is really unique in how it works. It's unique in that right here, this little piece on the end, you turn it and it drives a belt that turns the same wheel, this Mariner wheel, but in fine adjustments for very slight elevation changes. And the biggest difference between how this works and a coax is that you cannot, once you've set the elevation on this, all you can do is move. You can see here, you can move side to side. So if you want to do like a windage hold off left or right, but it 100% maintains your elevation. And, there are unique situations, and I shouldn't even say unique situations. There is a definite style of shooting that calls for this, especially when you have situations like heavy mirage and you've got a blob kind of moving down at the target. This lets you set an elevation, take a shot, and no matter where the blob is, you know that you're on your water line. And it is a very, I've shot off this rest and I do really like it. It has a very unique feel to it, the way this works. And it has a very surprising, I don't know what to call it. I want to say like confidence, I guess, that you're going to hold a water line. Now, the downside to this system is that it's really hard. And if you're used to a coax system, it takes a lot of getting used to in order to make more gross adjustments on your elevation. And even the minor adjustments, turning this wheel, take a little getting used to, uh, because it's a really fine adjustment. It is also, and you can kind of look here, it is a very big rest. It is without a doubt the biggest front rest that I'm going to show you. It comes, I don't know if it says down here, but it weighs in about 28 pounds. The size is what's really unique about it though, because it is really large and it comes, you can take the head off of it, but that's about all that comes apart on it. And it packs away in, um, I, I wish I could give you the exact dimensions, but it is a giant um, Pelican case that is something like 20 or 22 or 24 inches by 20 or 24 inches by about 10 inches high. It is a very large case. A friend of mine has one of these. He travels with it. And when he flies, it is its own piece of luggage. There is no way that you would get this packed away with anything else because of the size. I mean, I guess you could shove clothes around it or something if you put it in a Samsonite, but it's big, and that's all I can tell you. It's big, and that's probably one of the biggest considerations you have to have for this, aside from the fact that it is not a coax design, but it is very well thought out. The adjustments are simple to use, and I know some very successful shooters who use these, and they absolutely swear by it. It does run. You can see here it runs about $2,000. There are a number of options here. You can get a 3-inch or a 4-inch bag. Um, you can get shorter handles if you're running a drop port gun, which means the if you have a drop port gun, brass comes out the bottom of your gun, so you need a shorter handle. You can get different, a little bit different adjustments. And if you have questions, I would recommend giving 21st Century a call. They are very good people. They've been in the gun business for a very long time, and they are very helpful. So again, one of those companies that really is committed to the shooters, and I do like working with them. Uh, they give you a little bit of explanation down here. There's really no counterbalancing of weights or springs or anything that's necessary. And again, the big selling point for this is the way that their system works with holding elevation and being able to make really fine adjustments left or right without losing the elevation. And, again, I've shot off it. I was very surprised by how smooth it was and how easy it was to shoot off of. The big downside for this one is going to be the size and the weight of it, just because of how you travel with it. It does have this carry handle you can see over here, which does help you get it, like to your car and stuff like that. And it does have a bubble level to help you level systems out. And it does have, I should point out, you can see this giant ring here. That's sort of your course adjustment for, or not really course adjustment, but it is your adjustment for the swivel head. So instead of the actual head swiveling, there are two lock mechanisms that allow this whole plate to swivel. And so that does help you get aligned on your target really well. And then you can lock it down and you're good to go. So that is the 21st Century Hybrid X Rest. And you can order them direct from 21st Century. All right, we are going over here now to the T-Rex, and you guys know I'm a big fan of this rest as well. This is made by a gentleman named Rod. He is a competitor that shoots, at a lot of the major matches and through the Midwest. I've gotten to know Rod, and he's a great guy, and again has been committed to the shooting sports for a very long time. In the past, he's made some different F-class products, like some Mirage or some spotting scope stands and some other stuff. And then a few years ago, he jumped in with the front rest. One thing to note with this is that it is made in the USA, and he is, I'm not going to lie, very proud of that, and should be. It's not easy to manufacture things in the US anymore. He is a machinist. He comes from a machining background, and as such has developed pretty much everything in here himself. Um, and so let's look at the T-Rex. So the T-Rex itself comes in a couple colors that you can order. There's like orange and black and red and stuff like that. Some of the colors are a little bit of an upcharge. It has gone through some changes, just like the Seb Rest have. The T-Rex was the first rest to come out with a from position elevation adjustment, and it really does work well. So right here, there's this knob. He's got a handle that sticks into it that allows you to adjust along this drive gear, and then this locks down your elevation. You do have to keep some tension on this, and you really should lock it down. Although I will tell you that when you have this properly adjusted, you can technically shoot off of it without having to lock the bridge down all the time. But if this does get too loose, the bridge will fall on you. So you just have to keep an eye and make sure that you're adjusting it properly. Once it's adjusted, though, you really won't have a problem. It has a really unique, you can't really see it, but right here there's a screw, and then there's the head of another one here, and there's two more that you can put on this side. That gives you a lot of adjustment for different weight guns. So you can use two of them for a standard weight gun, standard weight being like up to like 22 pounds. If you're shooting like a heavy gun for Benchrest, you can actually add more helper springs and adjustments, and it really lets you balance out the gun well. You have a lot of adjustment on target in terms of your left and right, up and down. He's got this handle, which I'll see if I can get you. You can see here he's got his joystick, which again has gone through a couple changes, as well as his feet for bench rest. And you can see here he's got these nice flat ones that are great for using on concrete or rubber mats. And then you can also buy his sand feet here, like this, if you're going to shoot in rocks or sand or anything like that. He's got a couple different pads. So this would be kind of like I was telling you on the Sebs, where you can do felt or some other material. He does the same thing here, and it really gives you a lot of versatility. He also has a sandbag right here that you can see, which is bench rest legal, and then he also has his roller top, which is this one here. So he's got a lot of different tops that you can choose from, and they give you a lot of different purposes. Some guys, like I I mean, I know some top shooters that are using the roller top. I know some guys use the sandbag, and I know some guys are using this hard-sided kind of felt side. You'll also notice that he does a really unique style of bottom sandbag. These are very tiny. They're maybe an inch and a quarter, inch and a half long, little pillows. They are 100% F-class legal because it is deformable sand, and they pivot so that the really nice thing about the way this setup is made, whether you use the roller top or whether you use these kind of side pads, is that if you have to adjust your gun up or down, you will always have 100% contact with your front forend on these little pillows. So if you happen to go, really high grade or low grade with it, you'll be riding 100% of these little pillows, and they do provide good adjustment. As far as accessories, he does make it so that you can get some accessories that add on. Like he's got this post that goes on for this Mirage kit to hold your spotting scope. And you can see here, it comes out. And let me show you here from the side. You can see it mounts on. And he's got it set up so if you buy an older, maybe you buy a used T-Rex from somebody or you buy a newer one, you can get a kit for either one. And then from position, you can see here, it allows you to really get that spotting scope up on the side. And so that's kind of a neat little feature. He has a, he has a shell holder that does the same thing. So you can put your ammo in here and it mounts up on the post as well. This is really popular with the F-class and Benchrest guys. A lot of people have these kinds of shell holders. And then this is just his sand feet again to show you. And they are very large. They're like a 3-inch, and they fit down into the sand nicely as well. I've used them quite a bit. So that's the T-Rex. If I will show you, if you want to upgrade any of these ones, like the Mini or the Max or the Neo, you can buy his upgrade tops to go on to an older Neo like this here. You can get the sandbag for on top of his rest. And this gives you the added versatility of a swivel because the T-Rex does swivel at the head. And I think I forgot to mention that, but if we go back to his rest, this whole head actually swivels right here. It's got a pivot so that you can easily get into position and do that. And he's got this front forend stop that is cut out and has nice little stops on it so that your barrel channel is nice and wide, so you're not gonna, if you're shooting any kind of elevation or downgrade, you're not gonna have a problem with your barrel hitting it at all. So again, you can get these, you can get the different tops for a Max or a Mini or whatever. Like here it is on a Mini, and you can upgrade a Mini if you want. So he gives you a lot of options to go with. You can buy upgraded forend stops. So these are just the forend stop right there. He also sells carbon fiber Mirage bands and some other things like that. So here's like if you want to buy the blocks, you can buy these here. Um, so if you want to upgrade to this style, you can certainly do that. Um, so a lot of options, and it gives you, like if you buy it and you want to try different things, you can buy different options for it and test them out. So that is the T-Rex, and you can buy those straight off his website. The T-Rex, I don't know if I scroll down here, but um, they start out about 1900 depending on colors and options and what you get. I want to say you get up around 2200, 2100, something like that. Like, let's see if we add color and then we add the feet. And if you get different forend, you get a forend block. And then if you get sandbag and stuff like that, you can see you're up around 2120, something like that. So different options will, cost you different, but just straight out of the gate, 1900. So it's right in there, with all the other rests that we've been looking at. Next on the block, we have the Lenzi. Now, I'm only showing the Lenzi because you will see some out in the wild. They are much harder to buy new, and there is some crazy weight. Like a Seb will wait 6 to 12 months, depending on the Seb that you're looking for. But a Lenzi, from everything I've heard, is much longer, like 12 to 18 months. I know a guy that in the past waited almost 2 years for one. They're Italian made. They are a coax. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but I will show you. It's a very well made, very smooth system. It's very simple in the fact that you just have these knobs that you can adjust with. Let me see if I can make. So you've got these adjustment knobs here. You've got your joystick. You've got a small little adjustment in the front, and then bigger ones in the back for your elevation and angle. And then you've got a well thought out and well made in his defense bag system. And then you've got your elevation adjustment knobs here. So it is not, it's not going to be as feature packed as like a Rodzilla or a Seb Neo X kind of thing, but they are very well made, and they do have a very loyal following. People really do love them. They use them, and I've shot off of them before, and they are incredibly smooth. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's a very smooth system, but it's not going to be the first thing you see out there on the line necessarily. And I think they are just slightly more popular with the Benchrest crowd than the F cloud crowd. Now, this is his actual website, but I am going to show you. You can buy them through PMA Tool. Currently, they don't have any in stock, and you'd have to contact PMA to get an idea of how long you'd have to wait. Every one that I've seen in the last couple of years has been in this blue. I know the website showed a different color, but everything I've seen coming in lately has been blue. And PMA Tool, if you've never dealt with them, they're a fantastic company. I could do a whole video on what they offer, but they're kind of like 21st Century, where they make and sell quite a few different priming tools and neck turning equipment and stuff like that. But as far as the front rests go, this is what they do. And I should say the Lensy is a counterbalanced weight system similar to the Neo Radigan, where it doesn't have helper springs. It has a counterbalancing weight that you kind of move back and forth to balance to the weight of your gun. And again, it's smooth and it works well. I don't have anything bad to say about it other than they are expensive for the fact that you're getting I will say at this point in time, a little bit simpler design. Now, that's great for some people. Some people really want that. They just want to rest it. They can throw in their car, go to the club, you know, put on the bench and have work and not really overthink it. And it is smooth and they are beautifully crafted. So I'll give them credit for that. But you'd want to contact PMA Tool and see what the going time frame is for those. This probably gives you the best idea of what they look like now. You've got this, kind of anodizing and the black bridge, and again, just a well built, simple bag riding system with a coax joystick. So I put those in there just so that you can see it. Um, Whoops. And I'm going to go ahead at this point now. I've kind of shown you what are traditionally the most common bench rest or F class front rests out there. But I think it would be a little unfair not to at least show you some budget minded coax or front rest designs that you will see out there and actually work pretty well for the money. Now, the first one is going to be the fire control. Um, I will tell you, this 3 stars. It's probably not totally unwarranted, but in my opinion, for the money, it's probably more like a 4 star item. And I think if we looked at Amazon, it's a little higher in terms of the reviews. There's only 6 reviews here, and this is the company's website. But if you go to other websites, I think you'll see it gets a slightly better review. Now, the actual system, and I have to navigate with this little yellow box, so forgive me. It's still a coax system, and you can see over on the right where it's blown up, it's sort of got this boot. It's like a dust boot, like you'd see on a transmission or something, or a stick shift. So it does keep a certain amount of debris out of there. It's got this tension knob right there, and then it's got the elevation on the side. And, it's got some simple elevation screws here. And in the front, it is a heavy cast iron base and cast iron bridge and a very simple, uh, sort of not really designed for F class forend here, but you can get some other bags. I want to say, who is it? I can't remember. One of the major bag companies makes Edgewood or somebody makes one that will fit this that has a more traditional kind of 3 inch 4 end design. But for 260 bucks, if and I don't know what they're running on Amazon, I'd have to look and see. But for 260 bucks on their website, I suspect they're a little bit less on Amazon or some other websites, Midway or whatever. Uh, I think it is actually a heck of a deal for somebody who is maybe wanting to dip their toe into F class, or maybe wants to do, some what do you call it? Like, low development, with something that's a little more stable than just a sandbag. And so, not everybody has to spend, 1,200 bucks for a mini or $2,000 for a Rodzilla or some other system like that, a Neo or Neo X or whatever. So there are options out there for people, and I just want you to see it. Now, I will say it is gritty, it is grindy, it is not a fine adjustment system, uh, but it is shootable, and it is something that you can learn off of for a period of time. My biggest gripe is this tension handle right here has a habit of being hard to tighten down and prevent the bridge from moving. So I did go to like my hardware store and buy a different tension knob so that I had more control over the tension. And I did take mine apart and kind of degrease it and re-grease it, and that did smooth it up quite a bit. So, figure out if you want to put that much work into it. But again, for sub $300, probably just a little bit over 200, my guess is 220, 230 at most of your other websites. I do think that this is a heck of a way for someone to get started. So circling back, if we're looking at the actual coax forends, we've got the Neo X, we've got the Hybrid X here from 21st Century, we've got the Rodzilla T Rex, and then you've got the Lensy, which again is just a little bit less known, but nonetheless still a good option if you find one and really like it. So what's the takeaway here? Well, the takeaway is there are some great rests on the market, and I'd really recommend that you get out and you get behind them and you figure out what fits your needs. Like I've just shot long enough where I get behind something and I know instantly that it's going to fit my needs or it's not going to fit my needs. And I've got, slightly different needs. I don't travel by truck a lot. Local matches, I'll travel with my truck, but anything that's more than about 7 or 8 hours away from me, I'm gonna fly. I don't travel well in cars. My body hurts too much. I don't have the time to spare, and so I'm gonna fly. So things like the Neo X and the Mini X are going to be kind of my go-tos. I know other guys who don't have a problem. They drive cross country. They